Ajnanam timirandasya Jnananjana salakaya Chaksurannuritam yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Gurave Gurachandraya Radhikaya Sudalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namah. First, I offer my unlimited obeisances in the dust of the lotus feet of my most worshipful Diksha Gurudev, Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pai, Astodhara Sat Shishima, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and the same unlimited obeisances in the dust of the lotus feet of my most worshipful Siksha Gurudev, Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pai, Astodhara Sat Shishima, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Gosvami Maharaja, to all of our Gaudiya Guru Varga and all the assembled devotees and guests, and welcome to Vedic Tales, Instructive Pastimes, Part 2 of Prema Samput. This is the book that we're discussing right now, Prema Samput, which means the treasure chest or the secret locket of pure love. We hear from our spiritual teachers that if we love the Lord, Sri Krishna, then automatically we feel absolute unlimited love for all creatures, not only humans, but even bacteria, bugs, animals, enemies, everybody. But what actually is love of God? We're going to talk about the purest love, which is the love of Radharani. And the goal of all beings is to experience a touch of that love through service to her lotus feet, to the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna, with a leaning towards Sri Radha. So, to summarize our last discussion, part 1 of Prema Samput, Krishna disguised himself as a very beautiful, mind, heart stealing, ravishing demigoddess from the heavenly planets, coming to Radharani's house when her in-laws were not there, looking very sad. Radharani inquired from him, wearing his crimson sari, covering his head, not realizing that it's Krishna himself. What's the cause of his pain and unhappiness? He wouldn't answer. Finally, he began to answer. Why did he do this in the first place? Because if prema, or pure love, comes out of the mouth, it disappears. If I say to a beloved, I love you, in the spiritual context of love, then it disappears. So in the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, prema is crooked, just the opposite of what is the reality comes out of the mouth. Because just like a lamp that's in a chamber, a closed chamber, like a ghee wick, it grows brighter and brighter. Whereas if it's kept by a doorway, open doorway, then it evaporates. A camphor lamp, Indian camphor lamp. So, Radha and Krishna always speak in crooked ways, so that the opposite of what the true loving feelings is comes out, and thus the love is preserved. So this demigoddess disguised Krishna finally began to speak as if she was in a lot of heartache, that I know your prema, your love is supreme and pure. It's glorified in the societies of the great demigoddesses like Parvati, the consort of Lord Shiva, and Lakshmi, the great wife of the great sage Arundhati. Everybody wants to have your beauty and good qualities, and they're always glorifying you in the heavenly realms. And now I'm personally seeing it for myself, how pure your love is. But you're making a big mistake to love Krishna, because although he has so many good qualities, beauty, strength, sweetness, charm, at the same time he has one bad quality that supersedes all of his good qualities and erases them, and that is that he has no discrimination in prema. He's a debauchee, basically. I've experienced your separation, and what to speak of me, what to speak of the anguish I feel. Even the birds, and the insects, and the trees, they all cry, seeing your separation. And then Radharani said, you know, you speak so badly about my lover, Krishna, and it's true that he hurts me by his debauchery, but I can't take my love away from him. Even when I decide to do so, as soon as I see him, I forget my determination. So, generally, if a person criticizes someone that we love, then we reject that person. But you have the same supernatural power over me that Krishna does. And so, I want you to not go back to your heavenly planet. Stay with me on earth, and I'll open my treasure chest and share that love that I have with you. Love that I have with Krishna, I'll share that with you. If anybody loves Krishna, the nature of prema is that just by seeing her beloved happy, extreme symptoms of overwhelming happiness come on all the limbs of the gopi's body. And it's nothing that we have to meditate on. Let's see, if I do this, then Krishna will be happy. No, it's natural that whatever I do is for Krishna's happiness. And when I see him happy, all my limbs thrill with 8 kinds of ecstatic moods, like hair standing on end, trembling, complexion paling, becoming stunned. And we mentioned the other day that Radharani is telling Krishna that just as a lion defeats an elephant and then nourishes itself by eating that elephant, so prema nourishes itself by devouring all kinds of obstacles to that very prema. Just like a lion considers a small dog to be insignificant, so prema considers unlimited obstacles to be insignificant. And the more the obstacles are present, the more the prema devours it. In fact, the nature of prema is that it knows no obstacles. there are no obstacles in praying. It's just like a light, a lamp, that in the darkness it shines even brighter. So in the face of obstacles, praying shines even brighter. And instead of decreasing when there's obstacles caused by one's own body, by Krishna's neglect, by karma, by criticism of relatives, of society, rather the praying increases. Not only does the praying increase, but in miserable conditions where there's an opportunity to see Krishna and be with him, that misery is tasted as the greatest happiness. And when there's no opportunity to be with Krishna, then the greatest happiness is seen as the greatest distress. And the abuses of the beloved Krishna is just like a joke. So that's so different from the perverted reflection which we see here. And Krishna's fickleness, his deceit, is so charming that the gopis' love increases and increases. Why is Krishna taking the form of this demigoddess? Because he wants to glorify Krishna, Radharani's love, that instead of reducing, it increases. So Radharani told this demigoddess, "Yes, I know you saw me crying when Krishna left me. But that's because some supernatural power came over me, and I forgot my body and my mind. I forgot that I know that everything that Krishna is thinking as soon as he's thinking it. And he also understands my heart as soon as something enters my heart. And I'm fully aware that when he, quote unquote, deceives me and says that he's going to meet with me, but then he doesn't come until the next morning, instead of coming in the evening, and then he's with another gopi. I'm experiencing the suffering that he has with that gopi, because he knows that I'm feeling the separation, and so he can't taste any happiness. He's just tasting my suffering. And then I experience more suffering because I see that he's suffering since I'm suffering. So he can't be happy with that other gopi. And the nature of spirit is that even though Radharani is saying Krishna's unhappiness is unhappy because I'm unhappy and I get more unhappiness, in the spiritual world, both happiness and unhappiness are different varieties of happiness, whereas in the material world, both happiness and unhappiness are different varieties of distress. Like, I'm happy, but it's a nice day, but it will end. It's a nice day, but I will die. It's a nice day, but it will rain. There's always a but to make my happiness mixed with unhappiness. I lament when I got something that I wanted, or I'm afraid that I'm going to lose it. I lament that why did I want that thing? It didn't bring me any happiness. And then I hanker for something else. So then when Krishna comes to me the next morning, and I say to him, "Oh, just go back to that other lover. I see signs of another lover on Krishna's body." like lipstick or kajal. So I say, oh, just go back to your other lover. I don't want to have any relationship with you. So, because prema is opposite, what I'm really saying is, how could you go anywhere else when you didn't get any happiness? And I'm also indirectly expressing my own longing for amorous love. And that gives Krishna unlimited happiness, because he knows that prema is cricket. And even in my so-called anger, I'm experiencing unlimited happiness. So then, in the rasa dance, you saw me, you meaning Radharani speaking to the demigoddess. In the rasa dance, you saw me weeping when Krishna took me away alone, left all the billions of gopis, and took me away and was decorating me with flowers and flowered ornaments. And then I began thinking that now my sakis, my manjaris, they're looking for me. They know that Krishna left with me. Most of the gopis didn't know. They just thought, oh, Krishna left us with some gopi who worshipped God, and so she won the love of Krishna. Because we see that there's footprints of another gopi with Krishna's footprints, but only Radharani's sakis and manjaris knew that it was Jadurani who Krishna left with. And so they were not only looking for Krishna, like the other gopis were, but they were also looking for their Swamini, Srimati Radhika. And then while Krishna is decorating Radharani, she's thinking that, oh, my sakis are missing me now. Now how can I get any pleasure alone with Krishna when my sakis are so distressed looking for me? So she's thinking, we need to stay here until my sakis come. And Krishna, who knows her mind, he's thinking, but the other sakis also might come. And then if they see me here with Radharani, then they'll get angry and jealous, and they'll all go home, and there won't be any Rasa Lila, any Rasa pastime. So what I'll do is, I'll be like Kalarium, or like Kajal. When Kajal is put on the eyes, it burns the eyes a bit at first, but then the eyes shine so much brighter, and the vision is so much greater. So I'm going to leave her for a few moments. But why? Just to glorify her love. Because when the other sakis see how much in anguish Radharani is rolling on the earth and fainting and feeling my separation, they'll see that their love is so insignificant in comparison to Radharani's love. They'll understand that Radharani's love is like Mount Everest, and theirs are just like little mustard seeds. So then when we have Rasa Lila again, then they'll be happy to see Radharani dancing with me in the middle, and they're just dancing in a circle around. So Krishna was planning to come back because he was experiencing Radharani's suffering, but then he saw that all the other sakis were coming, so he didn't come back. And then the sakis saw how much unlimited pain, which is another type of happiness, she was experiencing, and they automatically understood her greatness. So then the demigoddess said, the demigoddess disguised Krishna, that is, he said, all right, you say that you know Krishna's mind, and you say that Krishna knows your mind, but my mind is having a hard time believing that. So what's some proof? So then Radharani said, well, it's not only that we know each other's mind, we're one frame in two bodies. We're one nature, one swarup in two bodies. We're one wick with two flames. We're one stem with two lotuses. One yellow lotus, that's me, and one blue lotus, that's Krishna. And that's why he always wears yellow, and that's why I always wear blue, because I only want to be covered with Krishna. So we're one soul with the topmost rust of having the two bodies. So then the demigoddess said, well, if really you're one soul with two bodies, then I want some proof. So the proof that I want, because I don't really believe that Krishna has any frame. I don't believe your reasoning of why Krishna left you and didn't come back. But you can show me one proof and then I'll believe you. If you and Krishna are really one, then if you meditate on him right now, then he'll manifest. And then I do understand that he might be out cow herding, there might be some obstacle to him manifesting immediately. So I won't say anything. But let's see if you can do that. So then Radharani said, well, I might be ashamed if Krishna doesn't come because there's some obstacle for him, like his parents are around or whatever. But I'm going to try. So then Radharani prayed to Surya Devi, her so-called worshipable deity, that, oh Surya Devi, if in fact Krishna and I are one soul in two bodies, then please make him be here right now. And she was meditating just like a yogi, bringing all of her senses inward and disconnected with any external sense objects. So then the demigoddess disguised Krishna immediately took off his demigoddess outfit, and Lalita and Vishaka and other Sakis were there, and Krishna told them to go along with his secret trick, which they did. And another aspect of frame is that frame cannot tolerate even the very slightest difficulty of the beloved. And as mentioned earlier, whenever the gopi knows that Krishna is happy and not in difficulty, then they become overwhelmed with happiness. This is the nature of frame, which you don't find anywhere else, Radharani said, other than in Vrindavan, because the queens have separate interests sometimes, Krishna's interest and the children and the maids and so many other interests. But the gopis have no other interests. They left their husband, they left all their duties, and didn't care about what happens, why Madhurya praying is the highest, and Parakiya love, unwedded love, is the highest, is because in that kind of love, there is criticism by society, criticism by relatives, and the connection with the beloved is attained after great difficulty. Whereas in, say, with the queens in Dwarka, everybody wants them to be with Krishna, and they love Krishna because there's a reason. Krishna is their husband. Sometimes Krishna shows 4 arms and he shows that he's God. But for the gopis, there's no reason. It's causeless, unmotivated. And such kind of love alone can fully satisfy the self or the soul. So, then Krishna, after he took off his disguise, Radharani is still meditating. And then he embraced her. And then she realized, oh, Krishna's here. And she started experiencing these astasakti paths of trembling, hair standing on end, coloring of complexion, tears. And then she opened her eyes and saw, yes, Krishna is here. It worked. So then, because everything is crooked in the world of Prema, the gopis, like Lalita and Vishaka, began saying, oh, how did you get here? No man is able to enter into this abode of Radharani's, her house of her in-laws. We're very weak women. We couldn't stop you. Somehow or other you got in. You're very lucky that her parents aren't here. So that was all in the name of that criticism of Krishna's, what's the word, defiance of rules. They're actually saying, yes, we're not going to stop you. You be with Radharani and we're going to be leaving. So the gopis said, oh, what happened to the demigoddess? She was here a moment ago. Maybe she went into the house. Because this conversation took place in the courtyard. So Krishna said, demigoddess, what are you talking about? I was just in the cowshed in Nandagaon, and I remembered Radharani for a moment, and all of a sudden some irresistible force made me be here. So if you say there's a demigoddess, then the demigoddess must have given Radharani some mantra, and by that mantra she was able to bring me here. So then the gopis said, well, why don't you both go and look for the demigoddess in the house? So Radharani and Krishna went in the house, and the gopis made excuses to leave. And thus ends, well, almost ends, the Prema Samput by Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, translated into Hindi by Srila Bhaktivedanta and Narayana Gosvami Maharaj, and translated into English by his faithful disciples. So because everybody was laughing, Krishna was laughing, the gopis were laughing, Radharani thought something strange is here. So then she fully understood everything, that demigoddess was none other than Krishna himself, and she became even more happy. So then the book ends that this servant of Sri Rupa Goswami, he didn't give his name, Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, is here at RadhaKrishna and Syamarani, and he has completed this book by drinking the nectar from Srila Rupa Goswami, and thus ends the Bhavanuvad of Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj. Meaning, Bhavanuvad means that can only be done by someone who has transcendental bhavs. So when the translator, the self-realized soul, mixes his moods with the mood of the author, he's able to give the reader the quintessence of the translation in its full clarity. So I'm going to end here, and thank you for coming to Vedic Tales. By the way, as I mentioned in earlier discussions, we have big, medium-sized, and small posters of Prema Samput and many other paintings, which you can get just by contacting Vasanti Dasi on her Instagram or Facebook or email. And by the way, you see there's a book. This is just the cover of the book. You can get Prema Samput and so many other transcendental literatures just by contacting Vasanti. Any number of books for any donation. I can hardly believe my words. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. Panchakovatru Jastra Kudasina Devacha. Asita Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.